Let's talk about how you are going to get access to the play from now throughout this unit. So again, we are in Unit 2, A Raisin in the Sun Resources, in this purple folder. This is going to be our money folder in terms of being able to access the play for this first time, okay? You're going to go in. We've already done our background info carousel. That's what we just finished up with yesterday. And now I want you to go into here, A Raisin in the Sun, full text of the play. You'll see that I've linked a PDF copy for you to add to your drive. So you want to open it up, add it to your drive, and then you should be looking at something like this. This is actually the book form of the play. So remember, this is a photo of Lorraine Hansberry. She wrote the play, and then after she passed away, they turned it into this book. It begins here. We see her other works that she's written. We have our title page. We have our copyright page, blank page, dedication page. Then we have the poem by Langston Hughes that Lorraine Hansberry named this play after. And it says, "What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode?" You may remember Langston Hughes was one of the famous people that we saw. He was, considered kind of the godfather of the Harlem Renaissance. We learned about him during the carousel, that info carousel pre-activity in the Harlem Renaissance. Then we get to the introduction of the play. This was actually written by Robert Nemiroff. I don't know that I'm saying his last name correctly, but he was married to Lorraine Hansberry briefly. And this gives you the background of the play, gives you some info into the controversy of it. And this goes all the way, I believe, to, we get the acknowledgments on 19. And then starting on page 22, you have the contents hyperlink pages, okay? We are going to be starting in Act 1, obviously, with Scene 1, Friday morning. And Scene 2 will finish Act 1. That's the following morning. So, before we get into the actual acts and the reading of the play, we see that it lists the cast in order of appearance, meaning the moment that they come on to the actual stage. We see that the list of characters here, we've got Ruth, Walter, Travis, Benitha, Lena, Joseph Asagai. Oh, sorry, these are all the younger family. So these are like our main people. Over here are the actors and actresses that play them in a play, in the play version of it that we'll get to watch parts of. The other characters are Joseph Asagai, George Murchison, Mrs. Johnson, Carl Linder, Bobo, and then the moving men are just kind of like extras. Shows you who directed it and produced it, and the executive producer was also, again, the same person that did her foreword, which was her ex-husband. You get a little bit more info about the production there. And then you get, sorry, I don't know why it has it twice. Then starting on page 26 of your PDF, you get the beginning of Act 1, Scene 1. Here, we haven't gotten into dialogue yet. This is Hansberry's actual writing where she's setting up what the stage and the scenario are. Notice that she's got time, place, and then when it says at rise, that means when the curtain is coming up, that this is what the audience is going to be seeing. So this would be like the narrator would be reading this, if you were thinking of it as maybe a movie instead of a play, okay? It would be like a voiceover is maybe what you were thinking of, but this is what the audience would be actually seeing on stage. We see here Ruth is about 30, so we're getting information, character information, physical descriptions, and then we see Ruth, the actual character's lines begin here when she says, "Come on now, boy, it's 7:30. And then in the parentheses, these are stage directions. So these are letting the actors and actresses on the stage know what it is that they should be physically doing. It also gives some insight in terms of, so not only what the actor that is delivering the line is doing, but what other actors on the stage might be doing as well. So anytime that you're seeing something in these parentheses, that's not a line that's going to be read out loud. That's an action. That's a stage direction. Anything that's outside of the parentheses, after the character name. For example, when we see Walter speak for the first time, is he out yet? Those are lines that are actually being delivered. However, here, when it says like Walter, and then we get this parenthesis statement, he is not saying those lines out loud. It's letting us know, the audience know what he's doing. It's letting the actors know what their actions should be doing. Okay? So, again, we are going to start with Act 1, and just as a reminder, the actual reading begins on page 26 of your text.